Before we get officially started tonight, I'd like to make this disclaimer. Nothing in this video tonight should be taken as being a statement from somebody who has a medical background. I'm an engineer, I'm a chemist, and I've managed projects in industry. So this is not a medical opinion, and I make that disclaimer. I do not say that this is what happens or should happen in terms of medication or medicine. This is, from my point of view, advice from somebody who is outside that industry, outside that field, but who has requirements within that field and who will be taking the type of actions that we're going to be discussing tonight. So anything that you do, anything that you say, I disclaim all responsibility. Good evening. Tonight I'd like to discuss what somebody who requires medical assistance would be able to do in the case of an emergency. The sort of medication that we are talking about is ongoing medical requirements, such as a chronic ailment, blood pressure tablets, dialysis treatment, that type of thing, cholesterol tablets. So something that is an ongoing problem. In addition, we'll be discussing an emergency event where, for instance, first aid is required, and in terms of the hardship that will occur to people who are already at the edge of society in terms of medications. And in those I talk about the elderly, the infirm, as I said, those who are in need of ongoing severe medical input, and even the very, very young, the weak and the helpless. So premature babies, people who are young and really unwell, people who have ongoing problems, heart conditions, dialysis, that sort of weakness, people who are like me, vastly overweight, and then people who are wheelchair bound, people who are bedridden, and people who are of advanced years. All of those will have their own requirements. One of the things that you're going to have to consider at some point is the possibility of having to get medication when there is no readily available medication to be got. So essentially alternative sources. What I'm saying here is not to be followed as far as I'm concerned. All I'm saying is that other people have expressed an intent to do the following. I have been told that one of the better places to get, for instance, hypodermic syringes, penicillin, infectant, disinfectant type things, and medication in general, is a vet's place. Now, I don't know whether or not that is a good idea. I've been told that it is. I make no claim on this whatsoever. This is purely, shall we say, as a commentary or a supplement within the body of the video. The justification in breaking into or going to a vet's establishment and buying medication from him, ostensibly for your sick dog. I don't know whether or not that would work, and I don't know whether I can't back it one way or the other. I'm not entirely even sure that it is a good idea. As I said, it has been proposed by some people when I was pulling together the structure of this video. Whether or not it's a good idea, it's up to you. You make that call. It would be better, I believe, to, shall we say, nurture a relationship with a doctor or a chemist, because should everything go squiffy, the doctor or the chemist may well decide that his records aren't worth a damn anyway, and that if you need medication for one reason or another, that he or she will, in the case of a doctor, write a prescription for you, or that he or she, being a chemist, would be willing to sell stuff over the counter. Because if the world's going to hell in the handbasket, the chemist is not going to be worried about keeping his license in 5 years' time. The very fact that he could be dead in 2 weeks' time may well sort of focus his mind on other things. So this is stuff that you have to sort of think of on your own bat. If you have an official means of getting proper human medication, a familiar doctor, a familiar chemist, or say a familiar vet, whether or not you can get all of those. It's a good idea, could well be. I don't know what. I really don't know. That is a thing that has to sit on your lap, and it has to sit on your conscience, and you have to make that decision, because it's your people, it's your family that you have to worry about. Let's talk first about emergencies. Emergencies such as somebody falls and cuts themselves, they break an arm, they break a leg, bitten by a dog, caught in a machine, some cuts, some abrasions, whatever. The big problem there is the risk of infection. So what you have to do is you have to consider whether or not you have something that would be like an astringent, something like Dettol, Domestos, Savlon, one of those things that will clean cuts. You need a first aid kit. You need, as I say, clean wipes, sanitation, stuff like that. You need immediate painkillers, so possibly morphine injections and stuff like this. Although it is possible and feasible to get painkillers from natural resources, and indeed other medication from natural resources. So if you're talking about painkillers, the natural painkiller aspirin can be found as a byproduct of treatment of willow bark. So if you need painkillers, go and strip the bark off a willow tree and find out how that is processed. It's easily done. Now's the time to go and research it. Go and get it done. It's relatively easy. It's just a case of boiling the stuff down. You don't need a big cracking or distillation place. You're talking about just being able to get acetyl salicylic acid, ASA. It's aspirin. Other things like, as I said, Dettol, cleaning wipes, that type of thing. Easily done now, easily stocked up now. And it's not a case of that half of this stuff has a shelf life. The types of medication that we're talking about, they come under 3 general limitations. The limitation is referred to as being labile, L-A-B-I-L-E. They are heat light and time sensitivity. So you keep them in the dark, you keep them in the cool, and you keep them for the limited time that they prescribe. Possibly a little bit longer. There was a study done by the American military to try and stop and reduce the amount of money being spent on medication for the US military. And what they determined was that some of the medication was usable up to 36 months after the use by date. So the use by date is not necessarily something that you could sort of nail to the wall and say this is gospel truth. The people who make the medication will obviously be looking for their best opportunity to be able to maximize their profits. And if they say, well, we'll put down the replacement date as being 2 years instead of 5 years, they can make another bit of profit out of that. So it's worthwhile going and researching this now while you can. So say for instance you're on amoxicillin. You take the amoxicillin, you go into the net, you find out everything you can about amoxicillin and the brand that your doctor prescribes you, and the aspirin that your doctor prescribes you, and all the rest of that sort of good stuff. So you have, even now, why on earth not start to stock up? Aspirin is very, very good for people with a heart condition because it helps to thin the blood and reduces the chances of a significant effect from a heart attack. So why not now start to stock up aspirins and go aspirin, paracetamol, I don't know whether or not all the tramadol and all the rest of that sort of thing, you can start getting that in your local area and stock up on them. There's no reason why not. Put them into a big Tupperware container off to one side with today's date on it. And then whenever you get a chance and you do have to use it, then you start to rotate it. And remember, the thing is, if nothing happens, you haven't wasted that money. Because if you come along to the medication's use by date, you take it and you give it to some of the charities who are quite happy to use it off in Central Africa or something like that, because the charities know that it's going to be used within 2 months, 3 months. So they're not particularly worried about something that is going out of, has essentially its use by date today and will still be valid in 2 years' time. Because this is the middle of March, the middle of May. You give it to a charity, guaranteed by the end of July it's gone and they're looking for more. So don't worry about, it's going to sit there until hell freezes over. No, recycle it, send it out and let it be used by some of the charities. It's a win-win situation. Gets rid of all of the nonsense on your shelf and gives the charities a free medication, and you've essentially done a good thing. So put it down as being a salve to your conscience. So you've decided that you've got your emergency medication and the cleaning stuff and the Dettol and all the rest of that's good stuff. Now you need your first aid kit. Your first aid kit will obviously have all of the necessary splints and all the rest of that sort of good stuff. You can have all of the stuff that you want, all of the bandages and all the medication and all the little tablets and all of the little implements. But are you capable of doing it? Do you know how to splint? How to set a broken leg? Do you know how to sew up a cut? A really deep cut that cuts all the way through and into the muscle. Do you know how to what to do? Do you know how to sew it up? Do you sew it up inside? No, you don't. So what you need to do is get out and get a first aid course. And starting off with an elementary first aid course, because all you're looking to do now is, in an emergency, be able to essentially stabilise somebody who has hurt themselves, so that the next level of medication can be involved. But that's only for you now. What you've got to do is you go, okay, first aid for this 3-month period, and then paramedics and your intensive first aid, and then what you need to do in an emergency. Because what you're looking actually to save lives. That's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to save the life of you, your family, your close friends, your associates, anybody who falls down or gets hurt or gets shot or gets cut in the street. It's you as a social animal. What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? If you can't do anything, you have the moral responsibility to be able to go and get that sorted. So your local colleges, your local hospitals, your local first aid associations, go get a first aid kit, get a first aid training, then go paramedic and go to the next level. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family. We talked earlier about medication which had labile limitations. What you have to do is, for everybody involved in your group, the elderly, the infirm, the very young, those who are dependent on you, it is your responsibility to find out as much as you can. You need to go and get the information now, because you see, if anything happens, information's not going to be there. If it was me, and I've spoken about this in the past, if it was me and I was being the bastard that attacked, one of the first things that I would cut down would be the internet. So you have no navigation, you have no research capability, you have no investigation, you have no communication. You'll be lucky if you actually have a working car. So you are in-house, you have to do all the work yourself, which is where we were talking earlier on about the first aid. So you need to find out about the medications that you use. Get a Grey's Anatomy, get one of those medical books, and sort of find out exactly what you need to do in terms of broken arms, broken legs, first aid, clamping a bleeding artery or a bleeding vein. As far as I'm concerned, anybody cuts an artery, you're down to like bleeding out in say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So a cut artery is a death sentence. Or can you do something about it? Can you use a Kelly clip to clamp it off? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, who knows? So you've got that. Let's have a look at those who are at severe risk. We'll start off with the very, very young. If you get somebody who's very, very young, we'll talk about a newborn. We'll assume the worst, and that the mother is not able to feed the child. That child needs nourishment straight away. So what you have to do is you have to get that replacement today. It's not something that you can put on your shopping list and say, well, I'll collect it next Thursday. No, today, and I mean within the next 25 minutes. So if you're talking about your family, your wife, your partner is going to have a baby within the next few months, why not stock up on really sort of neonatal milk and stuff like that? Something that the good Lord above forbid, if anything goes wrong, at least the child lives. So you've got neonatal. You've got to obviously worry about stocking up on Pampers and Paddy Pads and all the rest of that sort of good stuff. Going back my youth. Um, Disposable nappies weren't heard of. What happened was that there was like a toweling nappy with a nappy liner, and the nappy was folded in a specific pattern. Nappy liner was put in and it was wrapped around the child. Whenever it came off, the corner of the nappy was held. It was held over the bowl, toilet bowl, and flushed, and all of the solid residue went down the loo, and the nappy went into a basin to be bleached, sterilised, and then into the hot wash thereafter. Recycling, yes. Messy, oh yeah, but effective. Not at the state of me. Big, healthy, big fat lump didn't do me any harm. So it's a possibility. Don't automatically assume that just because Pampers have gone out of business that the world's going to blow up tomorrow morning. No, get yourself a sort of a light towel and nappy and work from there. Actually, a couple of dozen would be a good idea. It used to be that one of the things that a new mother would have received as being the sort of the celebration present would be a selection of nappies. There you go. It's all possible. So that's the very, very young. Toddlers become a wee bit more resilient. The only thing that you would need to worry about with a toddler is if there was like a sort of a medical requirement. Say the child needed glasses, was hard of hearing, needed medication, was affected with say epilepsy and stuff like that. Talking of which, one of the things that I've been told is that some governments within Europe are considering one of the byproducts of marijuana as something which stabilizes epilepsy in very young children. Don't honestly know. I'm still trying to find out about it, purely for information's sake, because I don't like all that sort of stuff. So I'm not particularly fussed on it. But there you are. So that's you, young people, late teens and stuff like that. The only thing you need to worry about them is that they're all daft and they'll think that they're bloody and indestructible and they take enormous risks, and you'll end up spending more time patching them up than anything else. Young fellas climbing trees, racing around the place. It'll happen. Somebody will end up getting spiked through the sole of the foot with a rake or a fork or something like that. They'll fall out of a tree, they'll bang their head, they'll fall and break an arm or break a leg or something stupid. Girls are much more sensible. Sort of more sensible. Young fellas are dangerous. Okay. In middle age. Everything is fine with young adults, middle adults. Whenever you hit middle age of about sort of like 40, 45, 50, problem about that is that the wear and tear kicks in. People who are 50, give or take, they've started to need the medication to get going. Most of them will have something like back pills, maybe liver pills, cholesterol, depending on the diet and stuff like that. But remember, your diet's going to change in this case. So maybe amoxicillin, stuff like that. So some of these other weird tablets. One of the things that you could do is to now start looking for a holistic or a plant-based alternative. So one of the things that I remember reading about that started me off on this sort of path was a plant called St. John's wort, which was supposedly the equivalent of some of these beta blocker things. Not needing a beta blocker myself, I'm not particularly au fait with it because I only get involved with what I need to worry about. Not currently needing a beta blocker. I don't know, but a while back I got involved in looking for one, and the closest that I could get in terms of a plant-based remedy was this thing called St. John's wort. Now, any whole food store and most health food stores will have something like that. Indeed, if you think about it, some of the things like Holland and Barrett and the health food stores and all the rest of that sort of good stuff, maybe they're the type of people who you should be going along, and now they have this business about you buy one and you get one for a penny or half price or something like that. Why not? Buy one, put one away, and start rotating the thing. And what you can do is, whenever you're buying all these sort of vitamins and nutrients and supplements and all the rest of that sort of good thing, which you probably need anyway, find out how long the shelf life is on those, whether or not it actually does last 5 years, 10 years or whatever, and start to stockpile them. Won't do you any harm. If you're talking about you're buying stuff for, say, £2.50 for a jar, and I believe there was an advert a while back for something like that that said buy one for whatever price it was, and the second one you buy for a penny. So you're talking about maybe £1.99 for one and £2 for two. A penny? Seriously, you're going to argue about a penny? Buy the second one, stick it on the shelf. Not an issue. Don't lose any sleep over it. It's there. You can lose it. You can use it. Doesn't matter. The health food stuff, the plant-based equivalent. Again, now is the time to do your research. It is so easy. You're lying in bed most nights. It takes 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, to go in and say, my wife is on Ritalin, whatever the hell medication she's on. She's on such and such a thing, and what is there a plant equivalent? So you find out whatever the medication is for her, and you go, what's the plant equivalent? And I'll come up with a plant equivalent. It's not rocket science. Google and Bing and the rest of these search engines are there designed to help you do all this sort of thing. Just go and get it done. Stop messing about. Right, so that's that for early middle age. Late middle age, me, I'm just gone 60. So, the wear and tear is kicking in, the painkiller and all the rest of that sort of thing. So now you start to talk about, do I need chiropractic and all the rest of that sort of good stuff. Again, now is a good time to start learning all that sort of nonsense. It's not all that hard to sort of pick up what talk about, sort of general bone structure. Nobody is going to spend 10 years learning chiropractic. That's one of those things that you sort of you can pick up in that in half dozen months. Anybody tells you any different, you're talking about the bone structure of the human body. Speaking as an engineer, not that hard. Homer Simpson could pick it up in 6 months. Anybody that says they need it more is either a liar or a moron. As I said, advanced medication and all the rest of that. The problem we're getting a wee bit of advanced years comes in is where the infirmity and the lack of mobility comes into play. Now again, I have problems with arthritis and stuff like that. The joys of getting old, the joys of falling off a horse too much. But you have joints which ache, you have joints which don't move too much. At this point, you can start looking at dietary supplements to ease it. I've been told olive oil and various other things helps loosen up the joints. Trying it. Starting to work a little bit. So, it works a bit. How far does it go? I don't know. Will it end up going, right, okay, it'll keep you out of a wheelchair until you're 115? Okay, I can try it. Why the hell not? If you need a wheelchair, that's a whole different ballgame. If you're already in a wheelchair and stuff goes wrong, you're in serious diffs, because we're assuming that there is somebody of limited mobility, and I mean sort of nothing works below the waist, or they can only get about with the help of a Zimmer frame and very, very slowly. Are they going to be able to cope with the stuff that's going on? Not in town, not the way that things are. If things are starting to move very, very fast and they're limited or slow mobility, they'll get caught. So what you have to do is you have to organise for them to be able to get moving very, very fast. You have to be able to have them, for instance, if you're splitting from the local neighbourhood and you're getting out, you have to allow them a good hour to get themselves all settled and get their head in the game. Because if you've got somebody who's elderly and they're going to be maybe confused and you want to get them, you don't want to be rushing them. You're saying, you know, come on, Granny, hurry up, get to the loo because we're going to be on the road for 4 hours. That's not going to happen. All that's going to do is alienate the elderly person in question. So you've got to be very gentle, very, very understanding. If you can't do that, you could be only a loser straight away. Other aspects. Whenever you get up, and if there's somebody who is literally bedridden, whenever things go wrong, those people will essentially, the infrastructure that belongs to the government, that is there for their support, will be one of the first to get switched off, because the government is going to look at a limited amount of resources and they're going to say, what in terms of the future of the nation, what is the best bang for the buck? I would put serious money, I would bet serious money that they will go, there is little or no return in kind in terms of benefit for the nation in keeping the elderly and the advanced infirm alive. So these guys are at best callous and at worst soulless, because they're going to go, no, we can't afford an ambulance to go out and help your Auntie Maisie go down to spend a couple of hours down at the social club to help her sort of enjoy her life and socialise with her buddies. No, because we only have X number of ambulances and this one is taking a certain person to the hospital because they fell and they broke the leg or something similar. So you're now going, okay, I'll take her down, but if you have a car to take somebody down to the social club, somebody else is going to take the car off you. So the only time that you have transport in an emergency like that is to get yourself the hell out of the local danger area and out to a bug out spot. And here's the fun part. Whenever you have your bug out spot and you have all your necessary medication and all the rest of that sort of thing there, and you have your medical book there to help you get by on a day-to-day basis, and you have your all your sterilising kit, and you have your first aid, your advanced first aid kit for paramedics and all the rest of that. That's the only time that you're actually safe. And then you can start to concentrate on everybody who's in your group. Up to then, you're looking for, again, the best bang for your buck in terms of getting everybody involved, including the weaker members of the family, out to your regroup area. Now, if you have the members of your family spread out over a wide area, so you have your close-knit family, you have your partner and a couple of kids, they're in here, this area. 5 miles away is your brother and his kids, or your sister and her kids. So you got a brother and sister out here, you've got a sister and her kids out here. Your Auntie Maisie is visiting her sister off in 2 miles over the way here, and has brought your granny out for dinner. What do? Do you sit down and you wait on everybody getting back? Do you say to the brother, listen, I have the means to get out here, I'll be over there first thing tomorrow morning, have everybody ready, we'll pick up and then we're heading out? So do you want to go out to the brother, out to the sister, back, pick up everybody, get the granny, get the Auntie Maisie into the back of the van, away? Is that your plan? Right, okay, so that's your plan. So what's your plan B? Because the brother's not ready. Sister's, her eldest daughter was out gallivanting all night and hasn't come back yet. Auntie Maisie's nursing a hangover and doesn't want to get out of bed. Now what? You have to have a plan B. And the plan B might be, come on, lift your immediate family and go and say to them, if you get in touch with us at such and such a place, we have enough space for you, or you don't. See, this is one of the things that we've been talking about. To a large extent, all I've been talking about is you coping with your immediate requirements, your family, your partner, your kids. So you've got 1 or 2 adults, you've got 3, 4 kids, and getting them around. Do you have an extended family? Do you intend to worry about the extended family? If you don't, makes it a bit easier. But on the other hand, you're isolated. If you do worry about the extended family, all of a sudden other priorities start to kick in. It's not your family that you're worried about, it's now his. It's now hers. Auntie Maisie, what are we going to do about her? She's got a bad leg. She's in a wheelchair, she's on a Zimmer frame, and she's a humpy old bat. What are we going to do about her? Do you leave her? Or do you put up with her and you bring her with you? And if you're going to bring all of your family, what does your partner think? Does your partner go, yeah, okay, my family are a load of bastards, I never liked them in the first place? So what are you going to do? It's your call. You have to have your plan. You have to have your means of being able to organise everything. If you're going to work on being the medical centre for your larger family, not only do you have to worry about all of your medication and all of your partner's medication and the children, all of a sudden you've got to think, right, okay, me Auntie Maisie, we're going to get her and all her medication, and there's 19 different types of tablets for her feet and one for her elbow, and she's got some for her eyes, and bring 3 sets of teeth and her glasses. So all of that has to be organised. If you're going to be the organiser, you do it. Don't give it to somebody else, and don't say, we'll do it on the day, because the other person won't bother their arse, and if you leave it to the day, it's too late. So get it started, get it done now. Find out what medication you're on, find out the plant-based equivalent, find out the shelf life of your medication, get yourself onto a first aid course, followed rapidly by a paramedic course at least. And remember, at least 2 people in any group have to have first aid abilities. Because if 2 of your kids are out and one of them falls, what's the other one going to do? Stand there and watch them bleed? No. No matter what age they are, if they're out 10, 12, 13, and the pair of them are out, somebody falls, tourniquet, straight away, help everybody back. The elementary stuff, all they need to do is just know what's going on and know what to do. Because life's too short. You want to fuck about? Fine. But don't put everybody else's life in danger because you want to screw around. Get it done, and get it done right. So that's that. Next thing we'll be doing will be probably hygiene, and followed rapidly with power, heat and light. Right, so that's that for tonight. If you like what we've said, take up. If you like it, if you don't like it, take us down. Let us know what we have done right. Let us know what we're saying wrong. If you think that we're crazy, if you think that we're wrong, if you think that I'm just a loon bag, let me know. Get back to me. And remember, you'll always get a decent discussion here. Good night.